Hey everyone. This is a video I didn't expect to do. Mainly because Alien Earth left such a bad taste in my mouth. Predator Badlands just wasn't feeling it. Wasn't going to check it out. So before I get into my thoughts on Badlands, this isn't necessarily a review, it's just my initial reaction to the film. I'll give my opinions on all the previous Predator films for the sake of if you're just tuning into my channel, you know where I stand on them. I think Predator is one of the best action films ever made. It's a very good horror film, and it is definitely worth your time to check out. I absolutely love it. Predator 2 is a film that I really like. I think it would have been better, uh, a more NC-17 cut of the film, I think, would have made it a little better. You can tell that there's some reshooting and some funky editing with certain effect shots to edit it down to rated R. But overall, I think it's a great change of pace for Predator. Having it in Los Angeles, it's fun. It's a good film. Predators is a film that I go back and forth on. There are certain things I do like about it. The ensemble cast of characters I think are mostly interesting. It plays it too safe with a lot of stuff. The overall lore between the two different types of Yautja is interesting. There's a bit of bad blood there, although I doubt that the screenwriters knew what bad blood meant. That's when a Yautja kills another Yautja, it's considered bad blood after that. That's something from the comic books, though. So I doubt they knew about that. But it's a fine film, if not a little boring at times. It's worth your time to check out. The Predator, I consider, up until Alien Earth came out, I considered it to be the worst of both franchises because I consider them kind of one franchise. I know that the AVP films are not considered canon with the overall films, but in the grand scheme of things, they aren't horrible. They're pretty bad. They're not horrible. The Predator, on the other hand, is one of the worst movies ever made, and I stand by that statement. I think it's god awful. It's very clearly half of the film's reshot. And for those of you who wonder, oh, I wonder if that original cut was going to be good, I highly doubt it. It may even have been worse. There's some very dumb ideas that were in The Predator that thankfully have not really come to fruition since. And because The Predator was so bad, Prey didn't get a theatrical release. As for my thoughts on Prey, I think Prey is a very good film. It breaks continuity ever so slightly with a certain MacGuffin near the end. Not making a whole lot of sense if you've read the overarching Predator comics, but, you know, whatever. Prey is very good. Predator Killer of Killers, the animated Predator film, I think is terrible. It's not as bad as The Predator. It's very poorly animated. Two of the three stories are really dumb, which would be the Viking story and the World War II plane story, I think are really dumb. I really didn't like the pilot character. I thought he was very annoying. The Japanese samurai story I liked. It felt like something that would have been written in the 90s. In fact, there was a Predator comic series that dealt with the reincarnation of a samurai. It's a very weird story, but it reminded me of that. And then the tying them all together was just weird. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. And even if it had been in live action, I still wouldn't have liked it. I thought it was very bad. Come to Predator Badlands, and Predator Badlands suffers from what all of these new Predator films since Prey suffer from, which is bad trailers. They all have very bad trailers, in my opinion. Predator Badlands might have some of the worst trailers I've ever seen for a film. With that being said, I liked Predator Badlands. It's very different. It's really about a Yautja who is the weakling of his clan, trying to prove himself on one of the most formidable planets ever. He runs into a Wayland Yutani synth who does have a magical MacGuffin device that can translate everything to everyone ever. So I don't know how that works. That doesn't make any sense. But if you suspend your disbelief from that, it is solely there so that our android, she can speak English. That is the only reason, because otherwise, like, people aren't going to sit through a movie that is 100% in subtitles in America. They're just not. They don't want to read while watching a movie. At least most people don't. I don't mind. In fact, if it had all been in the Yautja language, which the Predator never, or Yautja, he never speaks full English, which is nice. He does say one English word. I won't spoil that. And he can say the android's name, but other than that, it speaks in the Yautja tongue, so that's fine. I won't get into like the story necessarily, because it's not very clear what the story is, and I think that's to the movie's benefit. It's interesting. It's kind of a coming of age story, kind of dealing with remorse and sadness. And it's also a comedy, which sounds awful because The Predator was a comedy. You can't tell me it wasn't. It was Shane Black trying to make a James Gunn movie and failing at it miserably. Just a stupid movie. This one, the jokes mostly land. It is a PG-13 movie, and I noticed that a bunch of people brought their young kids to see it. It's a little gross for, like, really little ones. There's no human casualties. There are no humans in this movie, so you can get away with having all sorts of guts and slime if it's CGI monsters getting ripped apart, which happens quite a bit in this film. You can get away with that if you make it all fluorescent green and blue and stuff with their blood. So whatever, it's gross in that sort of thought process. But you know what? It's fine. It reminded me of all the goo and nasty stuff in the first Men in Black movie, which is also PG-13. So whatever. The jokes, like I said, they mostly land. It's a little jarring to get used to it because the android's very quippy, and it feels like a Marvel movie. And that comes up to personal taste. I think a lot of people will like that, but I know many people that wouldn't like that. Your Zack Snyder DC fans aren't gonna like that one bit, but whatever. I thought it was fine. It was an interesting enough movie on its own. Would I recommend it to hardcore Predator fans? I would, because it is probably the best we would get from a Predator movie since the Disney buyout. Prey was its own thing, and I don't think Disney meddled with it a whole lot. They let the director do whatever he wanted, which is fine. They definitely meddled with this, which is why we get all of our goofy Avengers quipping. It's like with The Last Jedi, where it's very clear Disney wants a type of dialogue in their films that's very quippy. It is, out of all the Predator films we've gotten, which I think Prey was technically in there during when Disney took over. I can't remember when Fox was bought out by Disney, but I think Prey was their first foray into the Predator IP. I think that doesn't feel like a Disney film. The other two Predator movies feel Disney-ish. And I'm not saying like kiddie Disney stuff. I'm talking like what they do with Marvel Studios, what they've done with Star Wars when it comes to like the dialogue. But this is, it's very approachable. You could show your kids this and be like, this is their first Predator movie, and they'll get something out of it. But to call it a Predator movie, it really isn't in the typical sense of Predator movies. Predator movies are pretty much the same movie over and over again, which is Yautja lands, hunts people, people have to go kill it. This doesn't do that. That's probably why I liked it so much. It's not that. The main character is a Yautja. He's a predator. He's a different predator, sure, but he is a predator hunting this thing, and there's that itself was interesting enough that it made me enjoy the film and overlook some of the terrible effects. The effects range from pretty good to pretty bad. A lot of mocap. The days of a stunt person being in the Yautja, Stan Winston Yautja mask are gone. And you know what? It's kind of whatever at this point. It's a shame. But since the Yautja's completely unmasked for most of this movie, I get that it'd be easier to do mocap. It'd be easier on the actor to do that instead of being with all the prostheses on. Plus, the Yautja like makeup and mask has only ever looked good in the first Predator film. So, anyway, overall, what would I rank this one? Probably give it a solid 3.5 out of 5. It's worth your time to check out. I would watch it again. I'd probably buy this one, a physical copy of this one. And yeah, anyway, have a nice day.